everybody. We are over at the Lodi Whittier Library today with Jack Burrows. I'll let him introduce himself. And we're going to be chatting about the ground source heat pump system at the Lodi Whittier Library today.
Hi folks, name's Jack Burrows. I'm a trustee on the board of the Lodi Whittier Library. The library has a new building. It was finished in 2017, and as part of the building process, the board at that time decided to put in a geothermal system as a brand new building and a brand new heating system. The location of the trench work for the geothermal system is where I'm standing through this parking lot and out 150 feet.
Oh, 150 feet all the way back here?
All the way back.
Wow.
To the lower parking
lot.
And you can't see it. It's under the pavement, but the 6-foot deep trenching occurred here in 5 rows, and
between those two cones, right?
Between the two cones.
Wow.
And the PEX lines that are holding the water and ethylene glycol are run through here and pumped into a utility room right on the other side of where this meter is located in the back end of the building. Oh,
so is there an outdoor and indoor component for ground source heat pumps?
There is there are no there's nothing outdoors other than the water that is in the ground, and it runs into the building right here near this meter, and the heated goes through the heat pump system inside and runs then into the floor that is underneath the whole building, so that the heat is provided through the floor. Then in the summertime, this is currently June, we are now using the cool air, the other end of the heat pump system, which is then vented through that same heat pump unit into a duct work in the ceiling, and blows cool air from the ceiling to keep the humidity and the temperature of the building.
This is great. All right, well, let's go inside and check it out.
Absolutely. This is the interior of the Lodi Whittier Library. And in 2017, the building was finished and the geothermal system was in place. The overall cost of the geothermal system was approximately $42,000. And the placement of the geothermal system is in a utility room over behind the main office.
We'll go back there in a little bit.
In this room, though, it's early June, and this is the time when the cooling system is most needed. We have air intake for that cooling system here in the ceiling, and then the heated air is drawn into those vents, and then the cool air comes out of the assortment of vents around the ceiling that allows the building to have an effective air circulation, and maintaining then a lower level of water in the air. The humidity level is diminished by virtue of this circulation of air, heating the air, cooling it, and the water is sort of taken out of the air to keep it at a healthy level.
So tell me more about that. So it sounds like, are your books pretty happy? And it sounds like maybe there's some other motivations along with that for why ground source heat pump was selected for the library?
Right. So one of the most important things for a library is the humidity in the room where the books are stored and provided to customers, and the ground source heat pump system is very effective at maintaining a level of humidity that is good for everybody, including the books.
Awesome. Now, back when the board of trustees was figuring out whether they get a ground source heat pump or not, what were some of the other main motivators for getting one? And was this a unanimous thing with the board or a couple people?
Well, the board was excited about the possibility of a newer type of non-fossil fuel technology that would enable both a cost-effective way of heating the building, but also of displaying to the community and providing some level of education in regards to the heat pump, ground source heat pump idea.
Yeah, and it sounded like a library is a great place for folks to learn more in general about different topics, and learning about the system might have been a goal as well.
That's right, absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, well, it looks like we have a special guest in addition to Jack who's going to chat with us more about some of the heating system. Are we ready out back? So today we have a very special guest that we're super privileged to have. Our partner Halco has our rep Matt Dennis. So Matt, why don't you chat about yourself and let's see what is in this small but amazing room.
Yeah, so my name is Matt Dennis with Halco Energy. Halco is the one of the contractor partners with the Heat Smart programs that do, we do a lot of things. We do everything, actually. So home improvement, our home energy measures, geothermal, heat pumps, air source, solar, all that good stuff. And I'm here to sort of explain what's kind of going on in here from a technical standpoint.
Great.
To kind of best educate folks.
Awesome.
So, so this right here, where you're looking at it on the floor here, this is the actual geothermal heat pump. This is what's making all of this possible. The unit to the right here is the flow center. It's a non-pressurized flow center. And really all that does is that pumps the water through the loop that's outside in the ground. So you have an inlet and an outlet. It brings the water in. The water then pumps from this unit here, for this pipe here, around the side and comes in the heat pump right here.
Wow.
So the heat pump then, through the refrigeration cycle, that water runs over a coil, pulls the heat out with the refrigerant, and that refrigerant is is where the heat is actually coming into the building. And then it discharges the colder water and back into the loop to heat it up again. And that process, depending on how fast the system is running, can happen at a range of up to 16 to 18 gallons per minute. So
wow.
A pretty high rate of flow. From there, once the water is heated up here, it then transfers into this buffer tank on the tucked away in the corner.
That's
here.
that little tan one, right? The one that says for this one GeoStore in this case.
That one.
All right, that's the buffer tank.
The bigger of the two tanks there. So that's just a buffer tank. What that is that's just a holding tank. When the water circulates through these radiant floor heat tubes here.
So these red things are radiant floor heat tubes.
Yep.
Wow, these look fancy.
They are pretty fancy. You get the heat from the buffer tank stores the heat because the heat pump can't heat the water fast enough. Mm-hmm. You need that buffer tank to just kind of give it an intermediary to store it. And all that does, it just circulates water through the floor, through these tubings, when the zone valves kick on. And that's how you heat the house, or heat the library here.
Now, in this case, the library has heating and cooling, thanks to Jack telling us and showing us just a bit ago. Do all ground source heat pumps heat and cool, or does it depend?
Every ground source heat pump has the ability to heat and cool. Now, because this is a water-based system, it doesn't automatically cool. You need a cooling system. I can't run cold water through these pipes because then there'd be puddles on the floor.
Got it.
Condensation.
So what do we do, Matt?
So from in this situation, you've got heating in the floor, and then we've got air conditioning with a forced air system.
So that this big system, that's a hydrant model in this case.
Yes.
That's the air conditioning. Okay.
This is a hot water, chilled water fan coil. What happens is when you when in cooling mode, you're cooling the water. That tank is now cold, not
Okay.
warm anymore, and that basically just circulates the water through here, and you have a coil inside here. I can't really show you, but there's
That's
a
okay.
coil inside here that the heat transfer happens. So when this kicks on, you have the warm air from outside in the library
Okay.
comes through the duct system.
Oh, wow. These are huge.
Yep. Through the returns
exciting.
on the backside,
Okay.
and it comes through here. That warm air then gets blown over the coil, which is cold, and draws the heat out and discharges it through the heat pump and back into the ground, just like the other one does.
Mm-hmm. Back out.
And then when it's now cooled, it blows back out the supply and then comes out those registers in the library.
Wow. And now, ooh, what are these red items here? There's 3 of them in a row here. What are these?
Those are circulator pumps. Basically, there are 3 zones in the building. Zone 1 and 2 is hot water radiant heat. So there's
Okay.
2 thermostats in the building. And then this is the fan coil, which is the air conditioning. So
Oh, nice.
when you have heat, you call for heat. One of these 2 will open, depending on what zone it is, and pump that hot water through the radiant tubing here, or on this side.
Mm-hmm.
And for cooling, the heating system is sort of like, it isn't heating anything. So those just kind of sit there and don't do anything. But
Okay.
this fan coil kicks on, and you get cold water. And the reason you see all this is insulated.
Yeah, that looks pretty thick. I mean, it's
Yeah.
indoors, so why do we need it in a conditioned space?
So from a heating perspective, it helps keep the heat in the lines, to help keep the water hot, to keep everything efficient, so you're not wasting heat.
Got it.
But for cooling, it's really important because now cold water is running through some of these pipes during air conditioning, and it's always going to be colder than the temperature in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's any humidity, it's going to condense, just like
Oh,
a glass,
okay.
a glass of iced tea or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to condense. Same thing's going to happen if you have cold water running through a warm space. It's going to condense. So that's why it has to be heavily insulated to keep that
Condensation from
not
making a mess. And what is the blue box? I'm taking it. This keeps us here. We don't go to a magical world.
Yes,
right?
it
Okay.
does not take us any.
All right.
There's
What is
very
this?
little magic involved in these.
Okay.
So that's the relay. That's the controller. That's sort of the brain of the outfit. When the thermostats kick on, that tells it to open the zone valves and circulate as needed. But that's sort of like, think of that as sort of the brains.
Gotcha. Okay. And what's this little gray box underneath here?
Which one?
And this one right here.
This one?
Mm-hmm. And
This
then
is-
what are these other little things?
So that's a service disconnect. If you flip that open, you'll see that there's just a breaker in there.
Is it okay to open it?
Yeah, go ahead.
What's in here, Matt?
So this is the AC disconnect. If I pulled that right out, I would kill the whole system.
Okay.
So it's a service disconnect. The reason this is here is if a service technician has to work on the system, he can just pop it off. He or she can just pop that right out, kills the system. They don't have to chase it to the breaker, which isn't a big deal because the breaker's right over there.
Okay.
But this is a code requirement. Any of these heat pump type systems on dedicated circuits are supposed to have AC disconnects
Great.
like this.
And what is this? The thing that says vary speed in white and that little gray box above it.
So that should be the controller for the heat recovery ventilator here, or ERV, energy recovery ventilator.
What does that mean?
So anytime you have a building that's tight, and especially a public building where it can be a lot of people, you need air exchange. If the building is too tight, you can get a buildup of CO.
Gotcha.
And, people don't like to be overloaded with carbon dioxide.
Great.
But also you need to make sure you have adequate air exchange, and that system does it. It takes fresh air from outside and exchanges it with stale air from inside.
Wow. So this must
pretty
be a
common.
pretty tight building.
It's likely a tight building, but also its current building code right now is to have, especially with a public space like this, to have adequate air exchange. So.
Great. Awesome. And I think last but not least, we talked about the vary speed.
Yeah, that's just the
I
controller.
think we've covered most of what's in here. Wow. I'm going to do a nice little overview again. What an amazing system. And what would we say the square footage is of this space? Not very big, right?
10 by 10, if that.
Yeah.
Not
Ground
even.
source heat pumps don't take a lot of space indoors, folks. So I wanted to say a special thank you to Matt from being one of our experts in the technology and chatting with us. And then over to Jack. Thank you for taking us back in the area that people don't normally get to see and for chatting with us today. We're great to have you for the Heat Smart FLX South, and we hope to see you all at the library soon, as well as our future open houses.